So, what are the most important things that your pumper should be inspecting when they're inspecting your septic tank? So, number one, we want to make sure that the water level in the tank is at the normal operating level. And the normal operating level in a septic tank is at the bottom of the outlet line that goes out to the drain field. The reason that this is so important is that knowing that it's at the proper operating level tells us that everything is draining okay to the drain field. If the water level was too high in the tank, it was above that outlet line going out to the drain field, that tells us that there's something going on between the tank and the drain field. So either an issue with the line between the tank and the drain field, or that the drain field itself is not draining at the rate that it should to keep up with the water use coming into the tank. If the water level is too low in the tank, that is probably being caused by a leak in the tank somewhere, and we don't want that, because if the septic is leaking out of a seam in the tank or a crack in the tank somewhere, that septic is going into the ground and it's not being treated properly, since it's not getting to the drain field, and this can cause issues with environmental concerns with your water table, or it could come to the surface and be an issue for any kids or animals that might get into it. So that's number one, is checking the water level in the tank. The next thing that we want to focus on is the outlet device. So the outlet device is the part of the septic tank that is connected to the outlet line that's going out to the drain field. And its job is to hold the solids back in the tank and let the clean water from the center part of the tank exit out to the drain field. So this is probably the most important part of your septic tank that needs to be looked at. If something has happened and that outlet device is either deteriorated or fallen right apart, broken off at some point, we will not be holding those solids back in the tank, which means those solids are able to exit right out to the drain field and can cause damage, either blocking the line between the tank and the drain field, plugging up the header, the front part of the drain field, or really having a major effect on the life of the drain field itself. So very important to get a visual inspection of that outlet device and make sure that it is intact and is in fact holding those solids back in the tank. So the next thing that is very important to check is the condition of the tank itself. So what we use is a mirror and a flashlight, and we inspect inside the tank, and we look at we're looking for any cracks in the tank, any gaps that may have separated at different areas of the tank, and just that there's not any major deterioration going on with the concrete. What we'll see sometimes is that it really starts to deteriorate, and you'll see this white kind of pasty looking material accumulating, and that's the concrete actually breaking down. So over a long enough period of time, that will actually weaken the tank and become a dangerous situation. So making sure that the tank itself is in great shape, that's very important. And lastly, what we always check is to make sure that we have good flow coming from the house into the septic tank. So we'll have the homeowner flush the toilets, and what we're looking for is to make sure that there's not a lot of solids that are sitting in the line. So if we have them flush some toilets and we see a bunch of paper and solids get pushed out into the tank, that's a sign that there's a dip in the line somewhere in the plumbing, and can end up being an issue where it will get plugged up and that line will need to be snaked out. So we always want to make sure that we make homeowners aware when we see that. Just as a rule of thumb, if that's something that's going on, it may not be something that needs to be addressed immediately as far as a repair, but you want to be aware of it. If you're consistently getting a clog in the line that you need to have snaked out, that's where you're going to want to go ahead and replace the line, and that'll help determine where that issue and why you're having that issue is. The other thing is that if you go out of town and the system's not going to be used for more than a few days, it's a good idea to flush that line out, flush the toilets 5, 6, 7 times right before you leave, so that those solids aren't sitting in the line where they can start to dry up and then they can get hard. then you come home, start using the system, and get an immediate blockage. So always a good rule of thumb, if you have that issue, to make sure that you're flushing that line out when the system is not going to be used. So those are some things that you want to make sure when you have someone to come out and service your septic tank. Make sure that they're looking at these items, make sure they're all in good working order, and make sure that you're taking good care of your system and that your pumper is doing a good job for you.